From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic-Con podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zach, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Comic-Con podcast, Season 3, Episode 11. Recording this on March the 15th of 2023. We are geared and ready to go. We have some special guests. We have a special co-host. His name is Milton the Manimal. He's back after quite a long time.
What's like you said that prior to this too, like 1 week?
But I feel like, well, I haven't really talked to you at all.
That's
like
true. I have been super busy.
All of last week. Like we recorded 2 weeks ago, and then you were just so busy, and I really haven't talked to you even this week because you've been busy coming back to work and stuff. So it's been so this is actually our really first interaction in probably a good 2 weeks. Yeah, because I haven't been able to like talk to you about certain things, and there is actually something that I've been holding on to, and we definitely have to save it for this episode.
Great.
It's an eBay story, and I think I did mention it to you in a text. I was like, I really got to talk about this eBay story. So
okay.
But good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too. Glad to be back. I know. Sorry, everyone. And then, like, I know before we kind of get into this episode, this month has kind of been a little busy with me. I'm sure some of you've heard me talk about it in the previous episodes. We've got a baby on the way, and we're knocking out some baby shower stuff. We had a baby shower last week, and then we're also I'm heading home to Kansas City, which I'll talk about further in the episode as well this week. But gonna have another baby shower back there, so I will not be on the episode next week either. But then I will be back and ready.
Everybody,
to go,
hold on to your pants.
Yeah,
Zach is gone next week.
But I will be in Kansas City. So Planet Comic-Con, Kansas City, Sunday the 19th. I'm planning on going to Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City, Missouri. Probably take my nephew and one of my nieces there. So yeah, man, if anyone's around, if you're listening, you're gonna hit me up on Instagram. Let me know you're gonna be there. Let's make some plans. We'll meet up, do something at the con, and shit, dude, I don't know. It might be the only con I get to this year with a newborn. So
yeah, well, good luck. Have fun. I can't wait to see some pictures, and maybe you'll see some community members out there. But speaking of community members, I feel like we have a YouTube star sensation. He's kind of been like on his world tour over the past week. Every time I turn on a YouTube channel, this guy has been on YouTube, and we're gonna get into the reasons why he's been over on YouTube. And I haven't really been watching too much because I kind of want to go into this like knowing nothing. We have Mickey SwaggleHaus Comics building. What's going on, man? How are you?
What's going on? Thanks so much for having me on the show. This is great. I've been a fan of your guys' podcast, as I mentioned to you, through DMs and stuff. So it's exciting to be able to, share the sound waves, the screen technically, I guess, based on how you guys film it. But this is great. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to give the shout out to the guy Newbie Comics. He, Mickey hits me up. He's like, Newbie put me onto you because he's been on a couple times, and of course, Newbie and I were talking last week, and he's like, oh, you know Swaggle? I go, yeah, I know him. I know his YouTube channel and stuff like that. I know he's pretty prominent on there and stuff like that. And he goes, oh, you should really have him on. So it was funny that you hit me up, and then he was also talking to me. So of course, got to give a shout out to Newbie Comics for
his episode was definitely the first time I heard your guys' podcast, and then I went on to listen to all the other ones, and I was like, oh man, like these are so much better than the Newbie episodes. Like Newbie just drags down the show. So no, I'm just
he's
kidding.
Loving that.
Yeah.
it's that Canada man. Too much interested in hockey and all that nonsense. That Iron Man bullshit. So.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I'm sure, obviously, if people don't know where they can find Mickey, he's obviously on YouTube, he's on Instagram, and you've been on YouTube for quite a while, a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, I was one of the COVID kind of channels that popped up during that lockdown time. So I guess it's kind of going on 3 years now since I've started my channel for the most part.
When did you start like collecting? Because obviously, so you just said it, you were kind of a COVID baby for YouTube, but like, were you collecting at that time, or did you get back into collecting?
Yeah, I have probably a similar origin story to a lot of people where it's like, I started when I was really young, like 6, 7, 8, going to the, comic stores with my dad and my brother and picking up books and stuff. And, as you kind of get older, you kind of go in and out of the hobby from time to time, you get into other things. And, but it was around 2017 or so when I really got back into it in a big way. So I'd been collecting kind of hardcore for a couple years, and then during COVID, I was obviously very into it, like a lot of people were. Just kind of going through and selling stuff and buying stuff, and I was consuming all of the comic book collecting content that was out there, and just one day decided, like, hey, that seems fun. Maybe I should give that a try.
COVID was definitely the era of like back issues because no new issues were
Yeah.
coming out for such a long time. So it's like, you know what? Let me go back and read that run that I never read that was 150 issues, and I finally have time to read them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
there was some good selling during the COVID era. There was some good selling going
Oh
on.
yeah,
man.
good selling, good buying for sure.
Yeah.
What series kind of got you back into collecting? Was there like specific characters that you were collecting previously, and then obviously you stopped and picked up, or?
I think, well, during 2017, I'd say like the Marvel movies. Obviously, I think that was probably when we were starting to get Infinity War as like a trailer and stuff. So it was getting kind of exciting. So that probably had a little bit to do with getting me back into a comic store. But when I went in, that was when Donny Cates was doing the Thanos run, and I picked that one up, which was really great. In the Cosmic Ghost Rider and stuff, and then I kind of went back and. That was when Donny Cates was actually like, I feel like he was firing on all cylinders. Like his Doctor Strange work was really, really good. The Damnation stuff. And so, and then that kind of led into, at that time, it felt like Marvel was redoing a lot of the titles. Like it was like Donny Cates would do Venom, and then Al Ewing was doing Immortal Hulk at that time. That like they kicked all those books off. So it was kind of a really good time. Like it felt like, that was probably calculated by them. They probably knew like a lot of people were going to come in and watch, Infinity War, the Avengers movie, and be like, okay, let's have a bunch of number ones ready to go for people that want to kind of dive back in. And so I was definitely one of those products.
What's funny though is like, as you say that, and I'm thinking them in my head too. It was calculated and whatnot, but like, I wonder if they understood the amount of success that both those runs, like the Immortal Hulk and Venom, were going to have, and like how good they were. Because then think about now, present day, when we flip flop them, right? And you had Donny Cates going to Hulk and Al Ewing going to Venom, and they haven't been like that great. It's kind of
true.
Like,
that's true.
Did lightning strike once, and they tried to make it twice, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like maybe the idea was like, hey, we're gonna redo a bunch of the titles, and from the shotgun approach, it's like a couple of these will hit.
Right.
So I think it's kind of interesting because Justin, one of the articles that I think we're going to talk about later in the show feels like one of the other companies maybe thinking about this in some way, with all the lead into James Gunn. So I wonder if it's a similar thought process.
Yeah,
true. Yeah, I'm excited to get into our articles tonight. But again, continuing to really learn about you, and what's your. Obviously, you said that you kind of restarted back in the 2017 era after Avengers. Do you even feel like, the Phase 5 as a moviegoer? Obviously, if Avengers like Endgame, Infinity War got you back, and do you feel like this whole phase has been like a letdown for some people? I know you do a lot of YouTube videos. You do so much comic stuff related, but just getting on a movie kick. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like outside of my YouTube persona, I'm LA based. I work in film and I do a lot of screenwriting and stuff. So I'm on the one hand, I'm very charitable to like, I know how hard it is, but on the other hand, I'm just like, that's just terrible. Like I can be a tough critic too. So it's like, yeah, I would say, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but Phase 4 for sure has been, I'd say definitely a letdown. Just the quality has really dropped off.
It just doesn't seem like there's a unifying like theme necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could almost have said that a little bit with like the initial Phase 1, the introduction of all the core guys. But I think the big difference was those were core characters as well, right? So like whether you had this unifying Thanos build up people wanted to see Captain America. People wanted to see Thor, Iron Man, you know, like we had not had those movies before. So those characters were strong enough that they could kind of like operate on their own, even if the theme wasn't great. I mean, like, dude, Thor 2 was not a good movie by any means, but I don't think it still has done as bad as some of these other ones, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that part of that is maybe there's too much. I read an article. I think Justin, you saw this article as well. Someone posted in one of our group chats that um, one of the writer director of Quantum Mania is talking about writing directing Kang Dynasty, and he goes on to say he wants to make it like a fun adventure comedy,
Yeah.
fun for the family. And he said his comment straight up was like, you know, I don't really care about that it's phase 5. I don't really care. And I get that also because, and kind of going back to what you said, you know, you try to be generous with, you know, and fair to the writing and stuff. And think about coming in as a writer, and it's like the whole phases, you do have all this like baggage kind of on your back as well as a new writer trying to jump into this. Like, you have to think about the phases, you have to think about what's going to happen down the line. And you don't really have like the luxury of just painting your own picture, so to speak, anymore, because everything's connected. So it definitely is a downside as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It seems like I don't know. Something that feels like that is missing. You know, when you go back and you watch, like, I don't know, like when the last time you guys have watched the phase 1 or 2 movies and stuff like that, but honestly, they're so much better than the stuff we're getting now. Like, if you go back and watch them, like it feels like Marvel Studios was like finally the film studio that was doing superhero movies, but like in the most kind of like grounded, realistic, plausible way that superheroes movies were ever being done. And so it was like really cool to see that. Like, it felt like, oh, they're really capturing the essence. They're really, you know, leaning into the themes. The characters are really strong. You know, there's very, very identifiable like core values that all of these characters, you know, embody. And it feels like now we've kind of gotten away from like, all right, let's keep it kind of grounded and rooted and like make it feel like this is a plausible universe. And I feel like they've kind of stepped away from like the themes and stuff. Like, I'm not really sure like what, you know, Jane Foster Thor stands for. You know, like I don't really understand like what is like Moon Knight's core values. Like, I think that they've done, on top of all just like, you know, the plot stuff, I think those themes just aren't as strong really as what they used to be.
I also think it's the culture we live in. Obviously, it's changed. Disney's kind of changing in this world of, you know, where we're at, and very woke in some parts. And
Right.
everyone has to check a box. We've talked about it multiple times on the podcast. There has to be boxes that have to be checked to be into this movie. And,
Right.
you know, and
Representation.
that's something, the representation. And I feel like phase 1 through even, you know, first 3 phases or 1 and 2, it was just the characters. You knew the characters. There really wasn't, you know, gender swap or, you know, characters driven from, you know, minorities, or, you know, there wasn't race involved or anything like that. It was just straight comic book, you know, from the creators. Like, it was what Stan Lee wrote way back in the 60s for all these characters. So,
yeah.
It makes you worried too. I mean, like, I'm not trying to get all comics gate on, you know, in terms of the like the wokeness and stuff, but you do kind of see, like, I mean, let's be honest, like, and I think that's a problem. I think a lot of society, both right and left, have a problem on actually being honest sometimes with like their ideologies. But like with the first phases of 1 through 3, everyone was like, yeah, hell yeah. Like I said, Iron Man, Cap, Thor, boom, it's coming so strong. You weren't seeing a lot of the like the wokeness, the gender swaps, all that kind of stuff. They weren't pushing necessarily like, I mean, one of the biggest examples I think, you know, in the Marvel universe right now is pushing so many like female characters in those early 3 phases, right? And they weren't being pushed so much. And then it's also like, okay, well, then you get to that weird point where it's like, now all that's coming up and everyone's like, well, why isn't there women? Why isn't there more people of color? Why isn't there more, you know, LGBTQ representation, that kind of stuff? But all that only is available to be pushed because of the success of 1 through 3. So it's kind of like very much this like, you know, paradox in a way where it's like, look, you wouldn't even have this opportunity to quote unquote cry if we wouldn't have had the success which got us here. But now we're getting to this point where, okay, now we have to do this. And I think we've seen this in society and whatnot. Like now, once we start catering and pandering to that stuff, you see quality go down. And I kind of feel like that is, and I'm not saying that I think the wokeness is what's killing Marvel right now. By no means do I think that. But I think it's part of it. I think if you write your stories, like Justin said, checking boxes, you're sacrificing story. You're sacrificing themes, like you said as well. So
yeah, I mean, for sure, I think that's fair to say. I mean, if you're just, in my experience of just having to do screenwriting and stuff, I mean, if you're coming in knowing that I need to hit this certain like box or check the certain thing, then I'm pigeonholed into like the road I can take to get there. So
right.
it's actually going to make me harder, as opposed to like stepping back and being like, okay, what's just like the best story I can write? And
exactly,
it's a lot more difficult to do the former. And also too, I think this is, you know, when you think about the characters, I think the ironic twist of it is like the more you try to like make it diverse and expansive and bring in new characters, like it sometimes I think they shoot themselves in the foot by making it too specific, where it's like, you know, if Miss Marvel's character trait is that she's like a teen Pakistani American, and that's kind of like what she stands for, is like she's a teen Pakistani American. It's like, okay, cool. Like that's cool. I want to watch that, but that fills a certain like, or that's a certain type of, I mean, I don't even know if I would call it a character trait, but I would just say like, that's just, yeah, sure. That's her experience. But, you know, if we're looking at Thor and it's like his inner battle with having to deal with his own belief that he's worthy. And that's like really like what is core to his character. That's something I think actually more people can relate to than this one specific experience. So I think, you know, or Captain America, I can do this all day, like what that stands for, you know, like those are the things I think, the thematic things that maybe are sometimes missed with some of the new characters.
Yeah, you know, like I mean, it is kind of a crux too. Like you try to represent, which once again, I feel like you got to say these things. Like by no means do I'm for representation, but when you push, like you said, like let's use Ms. Marvel as an example, you push like a female teenager Pakistani. I mean, well, that's just one group of people that can like relate to that. Like that's not, you've now almost in a way ostracized and pushed out of, like you said, people who can relate to that, everyone else.
Right.
So like you hit the representation there, but you kind of sacrificed, you know, the rest of your audience, you know, as opposed to, like you said, like hitting themes and thematic like elements and stuff, which I 100% agree.
Yeah. And it seems like they and Miss Marvel could do that. It's just like they forget to do that part of it too.
Right.
You know?
They lean a little too heavy into the other part.
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't go too much into this, but speaking of writing, let's completely switch some gears on this, because we like to keep it to an hour. We got a guest here. Let's talk about writing. So you've been writing, you said directing screenplays, some stuff over the past 10, 15 years. You have a comic book coming out, Mickey. Let's talk about this comic book, Sanity, Rise of the Occult. Just launched on Kickstarter last week, already fully funded, overfunded. Tell the people about it. Like, what's it about? Timeline, genre, what's the whole 9 yards on this?
Yeah. So, Sanity, Rise of the Cult, it's a Lovecraftian pulp adventure comic book. It's kind of like a throwback to, the detective style of comic books and the pulp adventures from like the golden age, but with like a little bit of a kind of a modern spin and sort of set in that Lovecraft world. So if you're kind of into like the, Agatha Christie, Indiana Jones, a little bit of Clue, that style of genre, I think you'll like this one. So it's kind of an entryway into the Lovecraft universe. I mean, my pie in the sky version of this would be like, if you take a series like Walking Dead, like how it's just like a really great, stripped down kind of entryway where we start with this character named Rick Grimes and we kind of go into this world of, the zombie apocalypse. It's the same type of idea right here, where, we start with this private investigator who gets hired to investigate the mysterious disappearance of this sort of celebrity figure within this world. And as he kind of digs deep into the case, he kind of unveils this, world of the occult, so to speak.
Are we set like in normal, like, are we set in the United States? Or are we set in like a different world entirely? Kind of what's the...
Yeah, so it's set in 1930s Los Angeles, actually. Okay. So very much in that, I guess, Indiana Jones flavor would be sort of the best way to kind of paint the
So
picture.
like that post-depression kind of, even like, I mean, obviously it's 30s, but like roaring 20s. So like that whole coming Hollywood era. So
yeah, the kind of the Hollywood, the glamorous sort of Hollywood backdrop is plays a role into it, and so yeah, it kind of in that tone, in that setting, and yeah, like I mentioned earlier in the pod, where it's like outside of my YouTube persona, I've done screenwriting for a lot of video game companies and animations and things like that, and having a YouTube channel that started in COVID, it just sort of felt like, hey, maybe I can kind of put these two worlds together, bring these two personas together, and kind of see if I can do something that was a little bit of a bucket list thing, which was to write my own comic book.
You also kind of describe it here on the Kickstarter as an ode to classic pulp adventures from the golden age of comics. So like, and we were talking pre the show, your back wall, you've got a lot of like horror golden age. Is that obviously something you were really into? Is that kind of like a focus of like your collection and your reading habit, is the pre-horror kind of golden age stuff?
Yeah, I've been getting a lot more into it recently for sure, but it definitely is like, you have like things like Detective Comics, DC. It's like back when comics were starting around that time, a lot of it was like the Dick Tracy's, or just kind of going on that adventure or solving that crime. So it is a throwback to that style, that kind of classic style of storytelling. And so that was definitely an inspiration. And, some of the variant covers are, if you see them, are like homages to the Tales from the Crypt, kind of the EC style of covers and stuff like that. So it felt fitting to do that type of genre and that type of variant.
Yeah, totally. The D&E covers are straight off your back wall.
Totally,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
And those type of books, they have a good pocket. They have a nice niche cult following. So, I definitely think people who are into that horror side and are into variants like myself, you go into that EC, that, the homages that they do, and you're perfectly set for that. So issue 1, when is it launching officially? And then do you already have obviously other issues written? Like where are we at on that?
Yeah. So I wrote the first 6 issues, kind of the first main story arc. This particular Kickstarter is for issue number 1. So as soon as the crowdfunding time period ends, I'll be sending all the materials over to print, and then, kind of off of their timetable, then I'll be able to get them back and fulfill the orders. And so, let's say it's like a couple months away from being in hand. But that's kind of where we're at. And with the success, being able to hit our goal right away, it was like, okay, cool. Like there's some interest in this. Hey, my artist, his name is Santiago Espina. It was like, hey, Santiago, we got to get to work. Let's start doing page 1 of issue number 2. Let's go. So we're already kind of working on that.
And how'd you link up with your artist?
He came as a recommend, like a friend of a friend, another writer in the indie comic space. Adam Barnhart had worked with him before, so I really liked what he did, and I felt like his work was awesome. It had this really kind of heavy, sort of lined, heavy inked, very moody style, which felt like it would be a good fit for something like this. So just kind of reached out to him or got put in touch with him through my friend, and he read the script and dug it and was willing to do it.
Is he noted for doing anything? I don't know. I'm not going to say like DC or Marvel, but something that people could look up.
Yeah, he's got his own sort of like ArtStation following, and he's done a lot of stuff in the indie space. I don't know about his specific Marvel work, if he's done anything, at least off the top of my head, that I can remember. But he to me, he's one of those artists where it's like, I feel like it's only a matter of time before Marvel or DC finds him, and hopefully they don't find him before we finish our work.
Hopefully they don't tie him up before you go
exactly.
First run.
Exactly.
Right?
I can't compete with their day rate or their page rates.
What's and this is, we've had creators here last month or about a month or 2 ago, Zach and we had on Chad Larson and Ken Marion, a friend of the show, for Death Shroud, and that was launching on Indiegogo with something like even like Kickstarter, because this is opportunities and people don't really know this. Like, what's your print run? I kind of wanted to ask Chad that last time, and I missed. Like, what do you do for? Obviously, you have different versions of the comic, but are you only printing like 1,000 of cover A and then that's it, or are you, printing it until people stop buying it? Like, what's the? Like, how does that work with Kickstarter? And
well, it's a good question. I mean, it's something, as from the comic collecting side of things, it was definitely something, I thought about because, obviously supply plays an issue and people care about that stuff and they want to know like, what are the ratios of the variants? So I talked to some other people like in the space who, have done this sort of thing, just trying to get a sense of like, okay, like I can maybe, or I have a feeling like, with people who watch my YouTube and stuff, maybe there'd be this much interest. Like, what is a number that feels right? So, definitely less than 5,000 was like for sure what we wanted to do. It'll probably be around the like 4,500 total print run for this first issue, and then the variant covers kind of have like a ratio that follow. So it's like that; those will be limited to what I kind of describe on the page, which is like pretty low overall, like 50 or 100 for those specific variants. And then anyone who does the Kickstarter, what I'm going to do is add a little special sort of watermark on cover A so that their copies that came from Kickstarter, it's just a little bit of like a nod to them as being, thanks for supporting it at this stage. Cause, maybe at some point later when I have extra prints and if I get to like go to a con or something and sell it at the con, the ones that backed it now get that little added benefit.
No, I'm just looking through the different covers here, man. I'm really digging all of them. I really like this cover B by Sean Chen. Is awesome. It's got a different. I don't know why I like it so much. It's just got a different vibe to it than the rest of the covers.
Yeah,
Sean. Well,
Sean Chen is he's definitely been around for a long time and worked on Iron Man and Batman and Wolverine and Nova, a bunch of series like that. So he does really just great. Your kind of classic heroic pose for like a hero on a cover. So it's like that was the thing with doing the variants was just like making sure that they all felt like they sort of scratched like a different itch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I'm actually seeing. I see that some of them are limited now that you were saying it. So yeah, obviously, like the homage covers to the old EC stuff is limited to 100. One's limited to 100. One's limited to 50, and that's exactly how it should be. I feel like because you don't want to have. Sometimes you don't want to have everybody choosing one cover and then the other covers kind of like sit there because obviously you have to pledge a certain amount to get them. So
right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And the covers are really awesome. So if people can check them out, just head over to Kickstarter, type in Sanity, Rise of the Occult. Before we kind of get into some of our articles today, any final words on Sanity, kind of obviously, it got funded. You've kind of been playing, I saw you on Newbie's channel. I know you were on the Ladies Nearing Nirvana last week as well. Obviously anything that, people should kind of know about that they maybe haven't heard yet from you?
No, just it's my first sort of foray into specifically the comic book space. So that's kind of exciting. And, if you are kind of into the sort of Lovecraftian world or into like kind of that detective style story, I think it'll be something that you'll enjoy. So yeah, if you give it a chance, give it a look, hopefully you consider backing.
Definitely. Are you handling all the shipping and packaging yourself?
Yeah, sadly, that is the plan right now. So I think I have a good system in place. At least I familiar with shipping comic books and stuff. So I know I can handle it. It's just
pizza and beer for your friends so they can come over and help you package stuff.
100%. Yeah.
I think the main thing with people that, and I feel like this is more so like on the Kickstarter and sometimes even like Indiegogo and like other projects, is that anytime like these comics always come in, I always feel like, and I don't know if it's like territorial, but I feel like sometimes I get comics from like California and the bag and board is like ripped, like the bag is ripped, and I feel like here on the East Coast, I never have that issue sometimes, like when I get stuff from like certain companies. So I don't know if it's like where you're ordering, or is it from like the heat and the temperature going from like the West Coast all the way to the East Coast or north to south? I don't know, but at least, you're a comic guy. So I know you're going to, pristinely check these over. Obviously damages are damages. You're not going to send someone a damaged book. So that's the main thing, obviously, being a collector first, what people are expecting of a brand new book.
Yeah. My hope is for sure that I send it in a way that I myself would like to receive it.
Definitely. So let's kind of kick into some of our articles. It's kind of obviously we're talking comics. Let's kind of keep it with our comic books. So, of course, everybody, as you know, we've been having typically women here on the podcast this month for Women's History Month. Unfortunately, this week we didn't have one, but we have our friend Mickey, and he's actually going to help us with some of these articles. So the first article up, and this one's really interesting. This is posted over at imagecomics.com. They actually posted this earlier this month, and I'm glad that I found it yet again. It is 18 comics and graphic novels by women creators we recommend you read for Women's History Month of 2023. Now, we're just going to very quickly list all of them, and then all three of us are kind of just maybe going to pick one or two that we've read or something that kind of is interesting. So we're just going to kind of go down the list of these different comics or graphic novels. So we have A Thing Called the Truth. There is Bingo Love. We have Black Cloak, The Deadliest Bouquet. We have The Dead Lucky, which I'm sure some people are well known in that the Radiant Black universe.
Supermassive.
Supermassive. Golden Rage. We have Ink Blot. We also have It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. The Least We Can Do. Lovesick. Man Eaters. Monstrous. Mother of Madness. Of course, if you remember Mom. Radiant Pink. Stoneheart, which actually just came out last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that on this list.
Supper Club, Sweet Paprika, Two Graves is the final one. So let's kind of go around the horn. Zach, I know you've read some of these, kind of looking over this article. Was there anything that kind of stood out differently, or, what's kind of one of your picks if someone hasn't read one of these?
Yeah, I mean, I'm most everyone knows I'm a big reader of the Massive Verse. So The Dead Lucky, obviously, and Radiant Pink, I both picked up both those runs and read those. I read Mom as well. But yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. That the Stoneheart one was the one I was interested in. I was kind of surprised to see it on here because, like you said, I thought it was relatively new. But I do want to check that one out for sure.
Yeah, that one's from Emma Kubert here from here in New Jersey, of course, part of the Kubert family. So
yeah,
she's a great artist.
Fantasy series for sure. So hell yeah.
Yeah, it's on my it was on my list. I don't think I should say it's not on my list. It's in my pile of books that I do need to still read from last week. It's one of them. So anything else?
I mean, I think that's it. Out of these ones, yeah, those are I read Golden Rage from your suggestion, and I don't know if we ever talked about it, but
yeah, I don't think we talked about like how it ended, but we could definitely we get to it one day.
Yeah, I didn't really. I guess I thought the idea was strong and it seemed really cool, and then it didn't. It kind of fizzled out for me a little bit. But yeah,
very interesting stuff for Golden Rage. So Mickey, what about you? Kind of either something that you've read on this list or something that kind of like piqued your interest?
Yeah. There's a couple on here that I've wanted to try. I mean, the Radiant Pink. I did a little bit of the Radiant Black reading, so that seemed like it'd be cool to kind of dive into that as well. But the one I'm most familiar with for sure is Monstrous by Marjorie Liu. Like that's the one that I don't remember when I heard about it, but I think it's been going on for at least a few years now. And so which is kind of a testament to like the fact that this book's still going, like they're still a fan, but it's a really beautiful world, really different, like fantasy steampunk kind of horror almost at times. So it's really, really cool. The art style. And I've been able to read like the first couple issues of it, but haven't been able to catch up as, we all are behind on our reading, but it's cool. I mean, it seems awesome that it's been going on for so long. And I mean, definitely seems to be an audience for it.
Yeah. We were just talking about it last week with Sade was on here, and I think it's around still in like I think it's in the 40s, somewhere in that 40s.
Right.
And I agree with you 100%. Marjorie and Sana Takeda, the artist, they're phenomenal, and they definitely created an amazing world. And page to page, you definitely never miss a beat on that. So I definitely would have included Monstrous on my list as well. For me, I kind of have two books. The one book that I didn't read that I am interested is this, The Least We Can Do. Just a quick synopsis. Synopsis is mysterious magical powers arise from a world nearly destroyed by a war. A young woman fights for her ideals of revolution and to build a new society from the debris. Realizing that she can't do it alone, She has to prove her wealth to the Eclipse rebels to join them against the dreadful Iron Army. So, definitely really interesting. Got a kind of a militaristic, socially oppressed in the UK as well. So, interesting stuff there. I kind of want to check that one out. I mean, it only says issue 1, but I'm not really sure if it's out or if it's coming out. But I think it looks like a cool issue. The other issue, the other series that I did read, which was really interesting, was Man Eaters. I thought Man Eaters was funny. It was like a 12 or 13 issue series. Basically, it's about like girls, and as they grow up, when they have their period, they turn into cats. And basically, the idea is they drink water so they don't turn into these cats. And the storyline is that there's this horrifying there's these murders, and the main character Maud, her dad is like a detective, and they basically go around, and she thinks she's the one creating it because she stopped drinking the water that doesn't make you turn into these ferocious animals. So the first couple issues are funny because of the simple fact that it's like glitter cover, and then they kind of get into a more like female driven like storyline. So I enjoyed Man Eaters. It was like 13 issues. I didn't even realize that it was obviously, I now that I think about it more, it was obviously written by a woman. So you kind of get that. But it was very strange when I was reading the series. I just figured, when I was like, I'm into cats. I was like, Man Eaters, cats, girls. I'm like, I'll check this out. So definitely those two series. But there's a ton of it for the people listening. Go check out Image Comics. You could just type in the Women's History Month and you'll see the article, because I'm sure there's a lot of things like Zach. Golden Rage was something that we both read.
Yeah.
We're all into that massive universe. So I've read Dead Lucky, and I never got into Radiant Pink, but the other one that you said, Zach, the Stoneheart with Emma, I want to check that out. So
for sure.
Let's kind of move out of the comic books of the females, for the women of this month, and kind of get into another topic over at DC. So CBR.com put this out actually just about a day ago. So exclusive, the Titans new series leads into a massive DC universe change. So writer Tom Taylor tells CBR in an exclusive interview that the Titans upcoming series will lead to a massive change in the DC universe. And, Mickey kind of led into this earlier. We've had a big change kind of prior to COVID with all the shakeups in Marvel. And if you've read the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, it kind of ended with no Justice League. If you've also read, I believe it was issue 100 of Nightwing, the Trinity kind of asked him to kind of take over, kind of be their leader, kind of oversee Earth, obviously being that the Justice League is no more. And they're really building on this Titans replacing the Justice League in this new dawn of DC era. So, it's kind of go around the horn, Mickey, what do you think about this? Do you think they can lead the team? They think they could lead the DC comic book realm without a Justice League and being a Teen Titans mainstay?
It's interesting. I mean, I haven't been doing my DC reading recently, which is unfortunate. So I'm not aware of like what is currently going on in lead up to the story. But I wonder, just from like a macro standpoint, is this sort of like put Justice League on ice so that we can kind of build them back up to heroically return, like at some point in the future? Or is this like one of my things with DC is I always feel like, it's such a Batman, Superman company that it's like, it would be kind of nice to see like more DC characters get some shine and stuff. So maybe this is like a push to just kind of elevate, a couple other characters to more of that A-tier level, which would be sort of nice to see.
Definitely. I completely agree with you on that. And then I know like Taylor even says it, he quotes, so there's something upcoming in the Gotham universe that's getting a lot of fire under a lot of people. It's going to be really exciting. There's something that is to spin out of Titans that's huge and massive thing. End quote. So I don't know. I mean, I've been a big fan of Titan stuff. I like how they kind of brought it back. I like that. Again, it's the core team. Titans has always been the core players, obviously with Nightwing, Donna, Wally West, Starfire, and team. And we've seen that in the live action. We've seen that in Teen Titans Go, the Teen Titans animated, and I think this is an easily, a team that people have known for quite a long time. And the fact that they are getting that push is something that we do need. Because I feel like. Yeah, sometimes, and Zach and I have read the Justice League. We've talked about the Justice League titles, and they kind of just can change teams similar in Marvel, like the Avengers team is always just kind of changing characters in and out. But having a core team like the Titans to lead the big DC, Dawn of DC, I think it's perfect, to be honest. Zach, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love. I'm with you. I love the Titans. You always do need to change and pace a little bit of the characters. We know DC is kind of as Dawn of DC. They're going to be highlighting some other lesser known characters as well. Like I think this article even goes on to talk about Hawk Girl getting her own title, Hal Jordan kind of coming back, the Flash, and other characters. We know there's a Penguin title as well, but I'm also with Mickey here where you kind of look at it as like, okay, so what's going on here? We got James Gunn, DC Universe. We got to cool down the Justice League, right? In the movies, we got to cool down Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. We bring up these other characters, and then we can kind of come back. I mean, that's always how things work, right? So cool them down so we can bring them back, kind of let any past iterations kind of wear off. But DC is so very much Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, like centric, that I think it's tough to do this. And I think if you don't have these characters at some point, so I'm not entirely sure the way to go is, hey, full on, let's make Teen Titans, or sorry, not Teen Titans. Let's make Titans the premier team. I think maybe what the move should have been is, whether you call it Titans or Justice League, whatever, it doesn't matter. You do more of a, hey, let's like, just to make it simple, we got 6 people on this team, 5 Titans, 1 Justice League mainstay, like Wonder Woman or Batman or Superman. So that like that guy or that person or that woman or that main Justice League player is kind of outnumbered and now is like the one being led by Nightwing. Because look, Titans as the mainstay team, does it really mean anything if Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman aren't there to like seed to them? Not really. Like we know they're still out there in the universe, and we also know that at any point in time, if they decided, the Justice League's back, it's like Titans step to the side. So
yeah,
I think it would have been better writing or like maybe better storytelling to have one of those people there and say, look, like let's start phasing them in. Let's start integrating these 2 teams. I think would be a little bit more interesting. But regardless, like I like the idea.
I just think it would be tough to like have like a true like one of the members of the Trinity, like, or even like in the or whatever, like the next 3 characters would be like Flash, Aquaman,
Green Lantern.
It'd be tough because it's like they're the Justice League, even though everyone's on the same level, but it's like you have these big characters and now they're kind of taking orders from like Titans members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it would be interesting,
Oh, it's definitely, you get that shakeup. And that's, I think, where, great writing can,
I mean, he definitely can't be Batman. Like he can't be on the team, period. It can't be Batman. Like, and I think Superman's too easy of a pick as well because he's so, I don't want to ruffle feathers. So it couldn't be him either. So, if you're thinking off, and I wouldn't want 2 Flashes on a team. Maybe Green Lantern or Wonder Woman would be the way to go,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's cool though, because Nightwing definitely feels like a character that like could be a huge character for DC. So it definitely feels like, how do we get Nightwing to be like the star of effectively what is like a crossover event, like level thing. So maybe it made sense, like, well, we can't really have him like calling shots for Superman, so we got to put those guys to the side and let him sort of take lead.
Yeah.
That could be maybe what this is.
I mean, he is the second generation character that kind of checks the boxes, right? Like he makes the most sense as he hits the Batman universe, which is obviously the biggest universe in DC. Everyone loves Robin. Everyone loves Dick Grayson. It wouldn't make any sense. Like, hey, check it out. Wally West is leading the team. The Justice League, I don't really think that'd fly as much as like Nightwing makes sense. Like where the rest of the DC universe can kind of fall in line as well. So, but.
Yeah, I don't know if they're kind of pushing this to be, and then James Gunn, obviously, with what he's going to be doing in the DC studios, like, are they pushing this for when he announces more? Because obviously, even though we only know like a little bit of what his first phase is, there's still so much more that they can do. And knowing that what the Batman in his universe is already, DC characters are already there. Like Damian's going to be there. Like he says other Bat family characters. So obviously all these characters are already in this universe. It's not like they need to start on their own like movies and then come together. Like you could start a movie that just has the Titans and it could do well, right? It could be like a Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy type of thing where these characters are already established and this is their first lead in, knowing that they're kind of like rebooting the comic book world. So
Right.
I'm excited. Titans is definitely a great series, and again, like with the core members, and I've always enjoyed this. So um, definitely something to look forward to. And I mean, the dawn of DC has just kind of started. Obviously, I talked about Superman not too long ago, and then you have all these other titles that are going to be coming up every month. So coming out in May, Titans officially launches with obviously several covers and Taylor writing it. So be on the lookout for Titans #1. Let's get out of the comic book world, kind of get into some TV and movie stuff. Speaking of the DC stuff, this is very cryptic. I don't know if everyone's seen it. Zack Snyder enlists Darkseid to tease a major Justice League event. If you've gone over to his Twitter or haven't seen it, we don't know what's happening. It's going to be another 2 weeks, but Justice League director Zack Snyder enlists the help of Darkseid to narrate an ominous video teasing a mysterious date. So basically throughout this weird thing, it just kind of says incoming transmission. His hashtag on his Twitter post says full circle. Justice League, the narration just states April 29th and 30th. So to save the date. What is going on is not what I want to know. I'm excited. I mean, I really don't know what it's going to be, but I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of getting antsy and I need like the 29th and 30th to like show up now. Like, are we going to get like I would love like an animated movie post Justice League, because he always talked about kind of doing like even like a trilogy of the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
So could we do like an animated like full movie? They come out with the movies every couple of months. DC does. Like let Zack Snyder write, direct a cool Justice League Snyderverse movie. Like that's what I want. I don't know about you guys. What do you think this message means, Zach?
I have no idea, honestly. I mean, I don't know if he's trolling the Zack Snyder fans. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I mean, everything points towards Zack Snyder being done, right? Like has been done. So I don't know, dude. I have no idea what the hell this is all about. I mean, would it be cool to see his maybe vision in it, or wrapping up in like an animated? Yeah, but DC's been, like Warner Brothers seemed completely uninterested in any form of pushing the Snyderverse. So I don't see that really happening. I have no idea, dude. I have no clue what this is about.
Mickey, you're out there in California. What do you know?
Man, I wish I knew. I wish I really knew. Yeah, I wish I could call Zach and ask him. But like, there's no way. Like, it's one of those like, there's no way that this is just like him trolling, right? Like, like you wouldn't do something like this if you like. You're like, haha, just kidding. It's going to be a Zack Snyder Justice League T-shirt I'm dropping. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way he would set up all the fans to get so upset if he didn't, give them something. So I didn't think about it being an animated film. I think that actually, maybe that is the way to kind of wrap it all up. I mean, they got the DC, what do they call it? Like Otherworld now? So
Elseworlds, yeah.
Or Elseworld. Yeah. So maybe they can kind of make this fit, like let the guy finish what he set out to finish. So
we get Zack Snyder's Justice League Ultimate Cut, which is like another hour to that movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just don't see him doing anything like the Snyder Universe fan base is relatively toxic, right? So like, I don't see them encouraging it. I don't feel like that's a good idea. So even like this being allowed to happen seems like this was probably a bad look. Like, I don't know if this is going to end well for anyone.
Yeah. Do you think James Gunn's universe leads to Darkseid eventually? Like, is there like a 4D chess version where it's like, we gotta finish the Justice League Zack Snyder thing so we can like set up Darkseid, who then can enter the multiverse and be the villain of James Gunn's world? You know what I mean? Like, is there that? Does it?
I mean, Gods and Monsters is like the first volume of his.
Yeah.
Like when you say Gods and Monsters, I mean, I think Superman and I think Darkseid. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think the gods thing, it's part Superman. I think also, just gods in general. You think about the Wonder Woman universe. And you also got to think about that fourth world stuff. So all the stuff that Kirby created. Yeah, it's got to be like Darkseid. You got to have the new gods obviously in there. And, I think that really is mainly going to start. And to be honest, I don't know. I'd love to see them really start bringing that fourth world stuff sooner rather than later. So, we have to see how long this is really going to be, to be honest. Like, there's so much that they said that is not announced that I'm sure, like, at some upcoming Comic-Con, you're going to hear something. It just got posted today that he's officially directing Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
So, that's where he's going to be. I'm sure at San Diego Comic-Con in a few months, you're going to see something out of nowhere. Him announce some other new project for DC. So, and it's going to be good. I think we'll see a good change, not a changing of the guard, but we'll see some stuff that could come out of this. And like Mickey said, I think it leads to Darkseid. It's always kind of been there in the DC comics, right? Like Darkseid is always there as far as a high Omega level threat villain. So at some point you have to bring him in.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of toxic, and it's funny you said that, Zach. There's we haven't had any toxicity in the community, but there is, it's something that's been kind of chill for 2023, right?
Yeah, people kept their heads low so far. I'm kind of wondering who's going to pop up first, who's going to be the first victim of whack-a-mole, and
well, because cons are finally starting, right? So we're finally getting back to convention season. We have WonderCon, MegaCon, but C2E2 or C2E2 is the end of this month, and we all know what happened last year at C2E2. So
right.
I guess it's kind of playing like Russian roulette, like who's the first community member that we know about, or a community member that nobody really knows that really stirs the pot.
Yeah.
The community always needs a villain. They always need a villain.
Wow.
What acetate cover is coming out?
Would you say who was the big baddie? Mickey, didn't you ask it? Who's going to be the big baddie?
Who's the big baddie of 2023?
Man, I don't know. Even Whatnot has been like the villain of 2022, I feel like, in general. And then they've been kind of quiet lately.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I guess if there's been maybe minor little controversy things, like some CGC stuff and just like the counterfeit comic books. I don't know if you guys heard about that one where people were doing that, and so it's not really like necessarily their direct fault, but as far as people complaining a little bit, I think CGC's kind of been doing or being kind of roped into some things. So they're always on the table
they're
to
always
come back.
there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, between the counterfeit comics and then what was the most recent thing? There was that comic that guy bought, and it was like a CGC 96. He cracked it, he pressed it, and then it got like a blue-green label because the coupon was cut out. Again, quality control at CGC has always been, hit or miss. I've sent in hundreds of comics last year. I think maybe like 3 or 4 of them probably had like a cracked case, which I don't know if it's obviously that's due to shipping or just the way they handle it. I think I had to send back 2 comics because I had like a Kanan 6 and a Strange Academy 1, and they swapped the labels, and I'm like, I was just like, and I didn't notice it immediately because I just I was pulling the comics out of the box, and I was just like looking at the grades, and then all of a sudden, like as I was going for something else, I was just like Strange Academy, and then the cover is Kanan. And I look at Kanan 6 and it's the Strange Academy variant. I'm like, they really don't look at this stuff.
Yeah, CGC for sure is always on the table. But I mean, I don't know, like big baddie, because everyone's always pissed at CGC.
Yeah,
they're always
true.
doing something.
They're a company. We need we need to see who's the big baddie. Like what community member is going to completely screw up something at some con. And again, for all the shit that went down at C2E2 last year, will something happen this year? That's
man. I hope so.
Because then we have something to talk about.
No, because that sounds bad. Like if nothing happens, we don't have anything to talk about. I just hope so, because I'm bored, man. Come on.
Yeah, something will happen for sure. Like if in this 2023, if like the economy's kind of down, there's going to be more stunts. Stunt comic covers or comic.
Yep.
Like like bad ideas, take it for what they will. But there's going to be people that are like, oh, we're going to try something totally wild.
Yeah.
Right.
And
People are
that
gonna
might
start getting
backfire.
desperate, man, for sure. I think I feel like, and Justin and I have talked about this, like the money isn't as prevalent as it was on like the whatnot days. The exclusives aren't selling the way they were. I think some of these people who maybe chose to leave their full-time jobs and become full-time sellers, they're going to be looking for another source of revenue here shortly, or a gamble or something. And
yeah. I mean, I think that the 2021 money, the 2022 money, and now you could. The books that I was selling in 2021, I couldn't get the same price in 22, nor could I get the price of 2022 and 2023. Like I still sell on Whatnot. I can't say that I love it. I have so much fun. All the people that are popping in and we chat, we make fun of things. Shit, like when I'm doing a show with Comic Dunes, like it's always fun. But yeah, like you said, Zach, I mean, the people that quit their jobs to do this full time, the struggle is real, right?
Yeah.
So
hustlers gotta be hustling, man.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Oh, ABC always be hustle. Always be what's the ABC's is what like always be. I was gonna say something else, but
closing.
I forgot.
Always be closing.
Always be closing.
Really bad
That's
at
what it is.
spelling too.
Yeah.
ABH baby. Always be
ABH.
hustling. Nobody says that.
Always be hating.
Always be hating. Yeah.
That's our motto. But let's kind of get into some comic book talk. Of course, how we always are ending our shows. What are we currently reading for the week? I know Zach's been away for a while, so I'm sure he's got tons of stuff that he could be talking about with what are we currently reading. I'll start off with what am I currently reading? A couple books this week. On the DC side, you had the newest Batgirls. Every couple months, I love throwing this book in there. It's great. The art, Becky Cloonan's still writing it. The whole team with Barbara, Cassie, and Stephanie is an absolute great thing to read every month. And they kind of throw back to some old school stuff in this issue. This week, they kind of a little bit of a tie into the Lazarus Planet. They mentioned some stuff that is in there, but you don't have to like read all the stuff that's going on with Lazarus Planet to understand it. Just one of my honorable mentions. Another one, which is part of the Lazarus Planet. And, I talked about this a few months ago about pre-ordering it. Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods. Really awesome issue. All the gods kind of come to Earth and they, obviously they want to be known. Like the people don't worship them. They don't know about them anymore. So they basically come and bring destruction to Earth. Obviously, you have Shazam is in there and Wonder Woman, and she kind of, not going to really spoil too much, but she basically has a choice to pick of whether she stays with the humans or kind of sides with the gods on this one. So really good first issue right out the gate for that. And then my final one, which pick of the week, and I think it was like pick of the week when issue 1 came out, Red Goblin #2. I'm really enjoying it. The whole, having Red Goblin, Normie. If you haven't read the first one, I'm kind of going to spoil a little bit. So I talked about it last month when issue 1 came out. Basically, Norman Osborn got captured by someone that you didn't know. Obviously, now you find out really who it is. It's the Goblin King. If you don't know who the Goblin King is, he's been in quite a bit of the series. He was in the Superior Spider-Man era and obviously in the Red Carnage, and he basically got killed. And you find out basically how he survived this all. And then you get Red Goblin, and I love how the symbiote and Normie are, because it's just such a like a virgin, like a baby of a symbiote. Like he doesn't know what to do, and he's so such a newborn of it. So like it's completely different than like Carnage and Venom and any of these other symbiotes that we've had throughout the history of all these all the different Marvel years, right? So it's something interesting to see. I'm just sticking with it, and it's surprisingly and I know Zach hates all that symbiote and Spider-Man stuff, but it's a perfect issue in my opinion. I really like the idea, and it's written well. So if you have not picked up the first 2 issues, definitely check out Red Goblin. Mickey, what are you like reading? Anything good? Anything old? What's some of your picks of the week? I know you said you kind of have a stockpile of stuff that you still need to catch up on.
Yeah. Still catching up on some stuff. There's a couple Hellboy trades that I have like right off to the side here that are kind of stacked up that I want to go and dive into. But as far as like new comics are concerned, I've been I have been picking up Berserker. And Berserker is actually finishing up this, I think, as today.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be the last issue that came out today. So I read the first issue, but I had been kind of stockpiling them a little bit. And I was like, I'm going to revisit this when I have like a bunch to power through. So I'm kind of excited to see, how that goes and how it sort of finishes out. And interesting to see, like, just the way it's being done with like sort of Keanu Reeves being kind of like the face of it, and what that means for comic books moving forward. I mean, earlier we were talking about the writers, the female written comic works, and there's like the Amelia Clark one, which I didn't get a chance to read, but that was kind of interesting with her being kind of a celebrity in comic books and stuff. And so Berserker's on my list right now to finish out, which I think is a good time because I think the last issue came out today.
Yeah, you got John Wick, right? This weekend? Or was it last week? What did it come out?
Yeah, John Wick came out, I think, last weekend. I didn't see it, but
Yeah.
Oh, it did? Oh, damn, I'm behind.
Yeah, there's so much between, John Wick, Creed. I still haven't seen Creed. You got John Wick. And then, of course, Shazam is this week. And then at some point, we'll be doing a Shazam review. So, Zach, buddy, what's going on? What are you currently reading?
Yeah, so, I won't talk too much about it since Mickey hasn't got there, but my honorable mention was going to be Berserker number 12 that came out. So first off, in case you run into the same situation I had when it got brought up to the cashier, and that book ended up being like $7.99 book or something. It's
oh, really?
A little bit, yeah, I think maybe it's $6.99 or $7.99. I'm not sure. Whatever. But I was like, oh damn, Berserker, what the hell? Like it's definitely bigger than the previous issues. Story rounds out pretty nicely, leaves some stuff open for the future as well. But it was a good read. I enjoyed it for sure. But I think my pick of the week, which might be a week or two old now at this point, is Harrower by Justin Jordan over on Boom Studios. So I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a horror mixed with like urban legends as well, slasher genre kind of story. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I thought the villain, the Harrower, has kind of got a creepy look to it as well. It's kind of got this vibe of like, every year the Harrower comes to this town and like kills people, and then like everyone's preparing for it. People don't believe in it. Is it real? Is it not? It was really cool. I enjoyed Justin Jordan as well. Kind of first got turned on to him in like the New 52 era when he was writing a bunch of the Green Lantern stuff. Thinking like the New Guardians run. I think that was the one he wrote. But
oh yeah.
So I like Justin Jordan. It's been a while since I've read anything he did, and then when I saw this title coming out over at Boom, Justin Jordan horror, Boom Studios, I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna check it out. So I enjoyed it. I think it's only a 4-issue miniseries. Maybe it's 5. I'm pretty confident it's 4 though. But definitely check it out. Like I said, a Harrower by Justin Jordan from Boom Studios. So that's my pick of the week.
Awesome. Well, of course, we're always looking for something new to read, and I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna have to pull that from the comic shop. So, that's all that we have for this week, season 3, episode 10. We appreciate Mickey SwaggleHaus Comics coming on here. Before we get out of here, again, where can people find you, Mickey, on all your social medias?
Thanks so much for having me on again. And if you guys don't know, I do a YouTube channel. It's called SwaggleHaus, where I put out content that talks about comic book collecting. It's a lot more, strays a little bit more towards like the vintage side of things and some of like the values and numbers and that sort of thing. So just trying to offer advice on how to make the hobby pay for itself or look at things like that. And then also, I have my Kickstarter comic book called Sanity. So I think if you just Google Sanity and Kickstarter and SwaggleHaus, put all the words together, you should be able to find it.
Yeah, we'll have it in the description for everybody to check out, definitely.
For sure.
We really didn't really talk about too much of the YouTube stuff, and it's funny. I think I got put onto your YouTube channel probably about 4 or 5 months ago when unfortunately you got scammed out of that Avengers. That was some wild stuff. I think Newbie kind of sent me that, and I was like, damn. Obviously, that you live and learn, and things happen, and we've all had that. We've all kind of dealt with that with scams. I mean, Zach had that with an FF1, right?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Oh man.
Luckily, it all turned out well, but it was about a $20,000 loss there for a second.
Oh man. Yeah. It was unfortunate what happened to me, but it was good to be I guess a cautionary tale out there for people to, enjoy, I guess.
Oh yeah. And you had people in the community that were right on top of it. Like they were making sure that nothing was shady, or I should say like looking out for it. Right.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
whole thing. So if anybody doesn't know, again, Mickey's channel, please head over to YouTube, SwaggleHaus Comics. He puts out so much stuff. Trending comics, obviously news, everything. Characters to pick up. It's so much. I mean, I feel like you're putting out a YouTube video like either twice a day or every day. Like it's wild. Like
Not
you
not quite
you
not
don't
quite
do
at
it
that
full
level.
time, right? This is not a full time gig,
No,
right?
no, it's not a full-time thing. It's the benefit of working from home and doing a lot of writing is that I sit literally in this chair in front of my comic books.
Staring at the
Which,
computer.
if you guys watch my YouTube channel, and you are familiar with my background,
Yes.
or like the visual background, it's like this is literally where I sit Monday through Friday every day. So, so basically, if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be able to make the videos I do. But I try to squeeze them into my morning routine when I can.
Well, that's perfect then. Yeah, because you always have the same background, like, and everyone talks about the great SwaggleHaus neon light you got.
Oh
there,
yeah,
so.
yeah. You can go to Etsy. You guys could get one here. Nemesis Prime one.
Oh, I just had my cool little thing here. But Zach, before we get out of here, any last words?
No, like I said, I will be at Planet Comic Con this weekend, Sunday in Kansas City, the 19th. So, like I said, if you're there, or if you're going to go, hit me up on Instagram. Let me know. Do a meetup, something like that. Keep an eye out for me. If you see me, come say what's up. I'm looking forward to going, to be honest with you. And yeah, that's about it.
Nice. For myself, please follow me on Whatnot. I have so many upcoming shows planned. I think I have like a Transformer show, I got a Star Wars show, I got a Spider-Man show, a little bit of everything over there on Whatnot, where you can find me, Nemesis Prime. And then, of course, next weekend, March 25th, March 26th, King Kong show in Island, New Jersey. I will be there vending with my buddy Main Man Comics. If you've seen my Instagram reel and some photos recently, his collection that he's bringing for books to sell is wild. And you'll see, of course, my books, probably some more slabs, more modern stuff, more DC stuff. You never know. So make sure you check out the King Kong show. There is a ton of community members going to be there as well, set up, as well as just hanging out. So it's going to be fun 2-day event at Island, New Jersey. You can check them out at kingkongshow.com or King Kong Show on Instagram. So that's it, everybody. We will catch you next week. Peace out.
Later.